Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Welcome to r/ProRevenge. Now, if you've never seen this sub, this is a great place where people get the revenge that they truly deserve. Now, with that said, this first post actually comes from r/PettyRevenge because the ProRevenge stories are all so damn long, and I want to give you a little taster of what is yet to come. So let's not waste another second and get straight into this first one by user/StormDancer10. My son and I were at Walmart, and as I parked, I saw that a new BMW convertible owner decided that the striped spot was set aside for him. I looked, and there was no sign of a placard or handicap tag. By the way, OP does clarify at the top that the striped spot was a disabled spot, in case that was unclear. This annoyed me, and I stewed about it the whole time we were shopping. When he was still parked there when I came out, I decided to get spiteful. I found a piece of paper and left a note on his windshield. It said, "So sorry, I didn't mean to scrape your car with my wheelchair. I would leave my contact info, but you were illegally parked, blocking my van, so good luck buffing that out." We sat in the car for another 20 minutes and waited. Out came this guy who looked like a personal trainer. He came jogging up to his car, chatting on his phone. He saw the note, screamed, "Oh, Then he spent the next 20 minutes going over his car inch by inch, rubbing every speck of dust or dirt. He was still looking when we left. Nothing harmed, no damaged. Just a lesson, hopefully learned. And you know what I suspect is even funnier? It sounds like this wasn't even this guy's car. He'd borrowed it off a friend or someone, or possibly rented it out for a few days. And now he's damaged it, or he thinks he's damaged it. So, very creative bit of revenge. Nice work, OP. I mean, if I ever get the chance, I will totally use this strategy. And now, onto one of these beautiful pieces of work from r/ProRevenge by user/RInfo. Get ready, guys, this is a good one. This all happened around Christmas time/New Year's, but I just found this sub and I'm obsessed with it now, so I have to give my story. My grandparents immigrated to Canada from Italy in the 70s and opened up a restaurant. When they passed away, the restaurant went to my parents. Over the decades, they grew and expanded it. I've been working at the restaurant since I was 15. Over time, my parents got older and eventually retired, becoming snowbirds, go to Florida for the winters. They left the restaurant to me a few years ago, but still retain a small percentage of the ownership as additional revenue stream along with their savings and annuities. As soon as I gained control, I pretty much modernized the old place, remodeled the restaurant, changed the logo, reached out to local and national papers to put out ads. Invited food critics, bloggers, vloggers, and etc. It was very slow at first, and I began to worry that the loan I took out to do all this was the biggest mistake I'd ever done, and that I had ruined 3 generations of my family's business. But eventually it began to work, and a local semi-famous YouTuber featured us in one of his videos, and that was the catalyst for more people to come and review, and eventually we were seeing 5 to 10 times the business we'd usually get, even if it was a Monday. We became a hotspot for major events, and it wasn't uncommon for a celebrity to come. On those nights, I even arranged for special, high-profile chefs to visit and cook for our guests. That one costs a fortune. And sorry, let me interject with my own comments here, because by the time I get to the end, I'll forget them anyway. OP, you did such a great job with the restaurant. I just want to stop and say, nice work for getting this restaurant back up and running. So, during the holidays, we were beyond packed. It got to the point where people would have to make reservations in July to get a table in December. This process took years to get to where we are now. When it gets busy, I don't just sit in the back office. I'm on the floor doing whatever needed to be done. If that means I greet people, bussing tables, or even mop the floors. Other nights, when we have high-profile guests or events, I'm in a blazer and acting in charge though. On one night, a group of 6 women walk in. 5 of them look like they're still in their early 20s, and the head of the group looked like she was in her mid-20s. Best theory, she was one of the other 4 girls' older sister, or possibly an older sorority sister to incoming college freshmen, maybe. I was greeting at the door, and as they were walking up, Queen Bee Karen was telling the baby Karens on how this place is awesome. Food is amazing, and there might even be celebrities here. When she came up, she told me she needed a table for 6. I replied, "Of course, can I please get the name on the reservation?" She looked at me and said, "Oh, I didn't make one, but it's okay, the owner is a personal friend of mine. He said he always has 1 or 2 tables that he keeps open for special guests, and said we can have one of these tonight." Now, generally, this is true of many high-profile restaurants, and lately, I've been doing that as well. But I have no clue who this woman was, and she definitely never spoke to me about any of this. I did get she was trying to get in without a reservation, but she literally picked the worst person she could possibly talk to and try this. I told her, "I'm sorry, but we can't seat anyone without a reservation. As you can see, we don't have any seats available." I didn't want to go all out and say, "I'm the owner, and we have never spoken before, so I never promised you a thing," because at first, I didn't want to embarrass her in front of the other girls she was with. She then went on and said out loud to one of the other girls to take a picture of me. She'll speak to the owner and make sure I'm either cleaning the toilet or fired by the end of the week. The other girls following her lead were like, "Yeah, kiss your minimum wage job goodbye." I'm not sure if they were in on it with her or they honestly thought she knew the owner. Queen Bee Karen went on and said, "Look, can you just give us a table or I can make life very difficult for you. This is not worth losing your job." Constantly pointing, just trying to put me down, saying things like, "Obviously you aren't anyone here, because if you were, you would know who I am," and never even try to tell me anything other than, "Yes, of course." Constantly trying to belittle me and get that table. At this point, it was a long day for me, and the way I saw it, I had 3 options. 1, tell them I'm the owner and just call her out on all of this. 2, just give her a table and let it be. Or 3, teach Queen Bee Karen and her little minions a lesson. I chose option 3 for various reasons, including some personality flaws I'm aware that I have, but I like to think it was at least 50% really wanting to teach her a lesson. I smiled at her, said, "Of course, Mom. Follow me please," and gave her one of the 3 tables we keep open in case a celebrity comes in. Happens from time to time. I told her I apologise for everything, and she's right. It would be simpler to just give her the table. I also told her that the first 3 rounds of drinks will be complimentary. I sat them down and personally served them. As they were sitting down, I told them that we do need one of your credit cards and IDs, just to keep on file, and we'll give it back to you before you leave. Queen Karen gave me her cards and told the baby Karen minions that tonight was on her. I took their orders and got them their free drinks, and told them, due to how busy we are tonight, there might be a delay on the food. All the girls were thinking of and cared about were the 3 rounds. They ordered their 3 rounds and still no food. They eventually called on me and asked me to check on it. The whole time giving me the world's most nasty attitude, since even before they ordered. I told them I'll check on it, but also asked if they would like any more drinks. They ordered 2 rounds by the time the appetizers arrived. At this point, they're all drunk, having done nothing but drink on an empty stomach most of the night, and only having had salads after. As food arrives, more drinks are ordered. What these girls never realised was that they were at our VIP table, which alone costs a few $1,000s just to sit in. But I didn't charge them for that. What I did charge them for was all these super expensive cocktails they had throughout the night, except for the first 3 rounds. In addition, the table they were sitting in, as mentioned, was VIP. So the menus were a bit different. For one, they don't say prices on the menu, trade secrets. And in addition, it had certain higher-end menu options, such as white truffle, black caviar dishes, and specially imported West Coast oysters, among other things. At one point in the night, I was honestly rethinking what I was doing, and thought I might be going too far with these poor girls. They might not know any better, but some things reassured me throughout the night. Such as one of the baby Karens asking me if I felt my life was worthless, since all I ever became was a waiter. Also, one of my other employees told me how they were discussing how to F with me, to the point that they can just do this whenever they want, and I will know to always give them the table. I also overheard them say, "He's cute, but I would never date a waiter like that. He's such a pushover." There were a bunch of comments like that the whole night. So I kept on with their life lesson. By the end of the night, each girl had racked up a bill in the range of $500 to $600 per girl. When I handed Queen Karen the bill of $4,232.23, with tax and tip included, of course. I have never seen anyone sober up so quickly. She went from laughing and giggling with her friends to nearly in tears. She called me over instantly and asked if this was some kind of joke. I took the bill, looked it over, and said, "Oh yes, I'll apologise. I'll get you the correct bill in a moment." Again, she felt a complete sense of relief, thinking she got me someone else's bill, called me a frickin' idiot, and went on talking to her friends. To be fair, I did make a mistake. I forgot to count her 8th order of a dozen oysters. That costs about $120 per order. So I gladly just went back and added it to the order. Oh my god, 8th round of oysters. Sorry, I'm interjecting again. That alone ran them almost $1,000. I mean, common sense. Oysters are always gonna be expensive. Sure, $120 is more than your average oyster would cost, but still, 8 dozen oysters. When I went back to give her the correct bill, she flipped out again. Going crazy, I just asked if there's something on this bill that she didn't order. She and the girls, in shock, go over every single line of the bill, including the first few lines that show the original 3 rounds which say complimentary. They then took out their phones and line by line went over everything, line by line for the 100th time, adding everything up. Extremely rattled Queen Bee Karen simply said 1 second, "I need to use the washroom." Part of me thought that she might just pull a dine and dash and leave the baby Karens with the bill. But kinda low-key, I did in a way remind her that we had her ID and credit card without making it obvious. I thought she was going to run out on the bill. 10 minutes later, she comes back with new makeup. Obviously, she'd been crying, and makes up a whole story on how the food was awful, the drinks were bad, and so on. Demanding that as a bare minimum, I should cut the bill in half, with the agreement the baby Karens will chip in, even though she originally told them the night would be on her. Then, as if a light bulb went off in her head, she again mentioned her relationship with the owner, as if it were to give me additional incentive to cut the bill in half. Holding back a grin at this point, I told her no. Just no, I can't change the bill. She whips out her phone and shows me a series of texts with someone called my restaurant's name owner, which pretty much I realised was what she was doing in the bathroom, just probably changed one of the other Karen's minions' contact name, and deleted previous texts to start the new script. I read them, then clicked on owner's contact info, and told her that wasn't the owner's cell number. Her reply was, he has multiple phones for business and stuff. Of course, you don't know all his numbers. I remember, wow, this girl thought of everything except I'm the actual owner. I told her, how about this? We call him, and he says that it's okay. We take 50% off the bill, then I'll do it. Her reply was yelling and screaming over the time where the few remaining customers all began to start looking, and I knew, okay, time to end this. I told her, already in a less accommodating voice, "Cut it out, you little girl. You don't know the owner. You've never been here before, and if you keep yelling, I'll call the police." Her demeanour changed, and she was trying to defend herself the best she could. My reply to her weak comeback was, my grandparents founded this restaurant. My family's been running this place for generations. I've worked here almost my entire life. I am the one and only owner of this restaurant. And I have never once seen you, heard you, and I definitely never made a stranger I don't know and never met before tonight any promises. The mini Karens just froze and didn't even know how to react. Queen Bee Karen was in tears. I said, now, I gave you the table you wanted, one of your specially reserved tables for high-end clients which I didn't charge you for. And I gave you 3 rounds of 3 drinks. If you don't pay your bill, I'll call the cops. And hand them your ID. In tears, Queen Karen signed the bill, and the mini Karens took out their purses to give her whatever cash they had, which equated to maybe a couple of $100, with the promise to pay her back more. 2 days later, a man walks into my restaurant, fuming, and asks one of my bartenders to speak to me. Oh, the joys! Looks like this girl took her dad's credit card as well. This story just gets better and better. I was in the back office for a bit of work, so he waited a good half hour for me. He was Queen Bee Karen's father. She was with him too, keeping her head down. I took them both to my office, showed him highlights of the security cameras, which were especially good quality of audio, because they were in the VIP, which we had to keep good records of. because we had other unrelated incidents before. So I showed him most of it. Their comments, their orders, their everything. When all was said and done, he stormed out with her and was screaming at her the whole time they were walking away. Haven't seen or heard from either of them since, but the original bill I gave them, for one that didn't count the $120 of oysters, is framed on my desk. And this is what I really like this sub, stories like this. Hold on a second, how many people were there in total? I think there was 5. No, 6 of them altogether, so the Queen Karen and her 5 little minion Karens. So let me quickly pull out my calculator and do 4,000, or even more. Let's go 4,200 divided by 6. Actually, I don't even need my calculator for that, that's 700. But imagine dropping $700 on a night. It just blows my mind. Do these people not have like an ounce of common sense? They were ordering cocktails, lobsters, caviar, God knows what else they did and what they got. And all the while they were insulting the waiter. And then the waiter pulled out the greatest Uno reverse card I've ever seen. Look, this story is just awesome on so many levels. Nice work, OP. You've really taught someone a lesson. And I don't think this Karen will ever do that again. And here's our next post by user/Vatican Cameos. So, you can read this post for the whole backstory, and I'll put the post in the description down below. You don't really need it, so I'll just stick with the summary that OP's left on this post. Basically, a lady we call Leech, for reasons made clear at the end, spent a year helping her best friend, Psycho, harass my family and I over a custody dispute. Leech wasn't related to the family at all, just a friend with an affinity for causing drama. She would make fake profiles along with Psycho, and try to fish information about us out of friends and family. Just some real nasty stuff. Leech would take the online harassment further than Psycho, which never made any sense to me, because I never had a personal problem with Leech. We had known each other back in grade school, and were even casual friends. She used our past history to try to weasel into my friend list. But I already saw that she was helping Psycho slander my name online, and didn't buy into her malarkey. She then started copying my display pictures and making them into ugly memes. And posts I made public were instantly captured and mocked on her stepmother's support page. Leech was dating the best friend of Psycho's husband. Her boyfriend had a daughter from a previous relationship, and Leech was a proud and attentive stepmother. Most of her identity revolved around being a stepmother. The page on which she posted the memes she made and posts she stole had been running for a number of years and had nearly 10,000 members. She had created it herself. She and Psycho also started a handful of other pages for the sole purpose of harassing and mocking us. A couple I had to have legally removed. Police were involved and everything. This had been going on since before March, and for Christmas that year, my wife's grandmother got each of her great-grandkids a 3DS. To save some money, she went to a pawn shop for some gently used consoles and games. This is where Karma had dealt us a sweet hand. Nonna had purchased 4 3DSs in total. For one, my daughter just happened to had a memory card inside, full of photos. Upon a quick scan, I realised the people looked familiar. It was Leech and her boyfriend, over and over. Dozens of photos, some a little racy. Why else would I be given this opportunity? Of course I was meant to use them, right? I immediately get to work, uploading every photo and file, and set up a fake email account with bits of her information to make it look like hers. I joined any and all 3 dating sites I could think of. Even downloaded some apps that aren't advertised as dating, but we all know that's how they're used. In short, I plastered her selfies everywhere. I refrained from using inappropriate ones because I just didn't feel right about that. Implied loose morals was as far as I wanted to take it. I answered a couple of messages on each site to make it look more authentic, even sharing more innocent enough selfies to prove I was the real deal. A while ago, I came across Leech's cell number online. She had shared it in a public comment, and I was in the process of screen capping any post she made about my family. I had screen capped that comment too, but hadn't done anything with it. I was just gathering up and retaining all the information I could, and my patience was about to pay off. After giving a few guys the number, I didn't bother logging on anymore. That was enough damage, I thought. it would be easy enough for her to prove she'd never visited those sites. And they should be able to recognize the photos as being taken with the bad lens of an early 3DS. But then the other boot dropped. After a few weeks, maybe a month, I go snooping on Leech's stepmother's support page to see if she had anything to say about my antics. But it was quiet. Weird. I check out her profile and find all her past posts have been hidden. And for boyfriend scrubbed off all the photos available. When I checked out his profile, there's a gigantic round about unfaithful girlfriends. Oops. Turns out Leech had been sleeping with her boyfriend's best friend's older brother, so Soko's husband's older brother, if that makes things any clearer. It had been going on for some time, and no one knew anything, not even Psycho. If the boyfriend hadn't confronted her about the random texts she was getting from the horny guys, he never would have seen the other texts that were cleverly disguised to hide the affair. Being a self-proclaimed stay-at-home mum, he had visitation every other weekend and 2 weeks in the summer. Leech had no interest in holding a job. The boyfriend owned and paid for everything, including her cell phone. When he found out about the affair, he kicked her out the house and took her phone. He pawned it off to pay off some of the enormous debt she had put him in. The reason the 3DS was in the pawn shop at all, because he needed some extra cash. It was his 3DS, and he had pawned it for some money for a present for her. He wasn't able to pay it back in time, and the shop owner resold the item. That's why the memory card wasn't wiped or anything. I'd say it was meant to be. And I would have loved to see more details on this story. If this was told from the boyfriend's perspective, I reckon this could be a whole lot more interesting. Not so much more interesting, but it could add a lot of details missing from this story. But guys, with that said, I think this video has gone long enough already. This has to be one of the longer ones I've done in a while, so I guess be happy it's this long, guys. But with that said, guys, that is gonna be it from me. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for Reddit videos just like this one, 3 times every single week. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you all next time. See you later, guys.